expansions, toch?
Welcome back, guys. This is Grubby and Yona at the DSCL Bootcamp. We have entered the fourth segment of the day, which is Economy and Expansion Management, and it will be presented to you by Thalandros and Ginix.
I think this is a very interesting matchup to talk about economy management and expansions, specifically because Zerg struggles a lot with drone counts and saturation against Protoss, I feel like. Getting the right amount of drones for the right timings, like the question we had earlier actually. And for Protoss it's very interesting because the third base is often a problem for them. And not only defending the third, but when you're supposed to take a third and interesting things like a quicker third can be safer than a slower third, and all these kinds of. And this is true for Zerg as well. Sometimes a quicker third has more merits to it in safety than a later third. There's a lot of things to weigh into decisions.
Let's also take maybe we even watch like part or most of the game from the Zerg point of view. We see what he scouts.
Okay, yeah, that seems interesting.
And then we see
Yeah, I like that.
how many drones should he make based on what he sees.
Yeah.
And then what does he do?
I'll say what he's supposed to do.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do.
I think that'll be nice.
I think the early game is most interesting for economy and expansions. So maybe for the early game we'll do Zerg this game, and the next game we'll turn it around. But once the early game's over, we'll watch both sides again, or.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting. I like that.
Map will be King Sejong Station.
Generally, for analyzing my own games, I always like to watch from people's perspective. I rarely watch VODs from pro players from the all point of view. I almost always watch purely from the perspective of the player I'm trying to learn from, just because I feel like giving yourself more information lets you see less of what the player is doing.
Yeah, that's true. That's actually very true. And I mean, you can watch for enjoyment, then I think you want to watch the whole map.
Yeah, of course. But I rarely.
For learning?
I almost always watch replays and stuff for my own benefit, of course.
Yeah.
Like if I watch like for BlizzCon, I'll obviously watch like regular. Plus, there's no option for the replay, so exactly. I'm restricted to it, and in that case, it's fine as well. It's good for learning still, but. When I have the option, I almost always watch purely from the Zerg perspective at least once or twice, and then I sometimes then watch the replay again from the old perspective to see what the Zerg could have done. But generally, I really like watching just seeing the fog of war from one player.
Yeah, it's true. I feel like watching from the whole point of view is like a comedy movie or a documentary, and watching from the one player's point of view is like a thriller.
Yeah.
It's you don't know what's gonna happen or whether it's true.
Yeah, watching from the old perspective is like watching a movie with a narrator, and watching
like David Attenborough.
And watching from just one perspective is like watching like a single person and only hearing his voice.
Blair Witch Project.
I have no idea what that movie is. Blair Witch Project? No.
Oh.
I wish I could catch on the reference, and I'm sorry.
It's this deliberate shaky cam faux real thing. So scary. Oh my god, everyone's camera is shaking.
Okay.
Okay. I don't need this one. Alright. So let's just watch the whole thing from the Zerg POV.
Okay.
What do you think?
He's sending out his overlord? This is correct. I'm going to open the production tab up, but not on the main monitor, but here on the side, so we can at least see what the eggs are turning into, because otherwise it becomes a bit too much guessing work. But that shouldn't change too much.
Of course, we can accidentally see Genix resources and supply, so it's not a full immersed experience. But second overlord.
Yeah, if you want the full experience, you should grab some tape and put it at the bottom.
Yeah. Guys? Guys? Alright.
Okay, so.
Do you send the second overlord to your natural or across the map?
Second overlord to my natural, but that's because I tend to play greedy. So
you don't want to send a drone to protect
if
hatch
I pull first, I always send it across the map, and if I hatch first, I send it to the natural.
Fair enough.
He's now drone scouting. In that case, I would almost always send the second overlord across the map as well, because I feel like you gather so much information for a drone scout. I don't feel like there's any need to sacrifice more of what you could have.
True. So what he's doing now is to establish a gate opening or a forge or nexus opening.
Yeah, or like some shenanigans, but
We
basically that. Yeah.
We see a lack of pylon forge in the wall, a lack of gate here, and we saw a probe moving to the natural, which very likely is a nexus first. He could have tried to block it. That would be an advantage for him.
Yes, that would have been nice.
But he didn't. But will get his own hatch first. Now, a small lead to Genix because he didn't scout. He rolled the dice and said, I will lose to pool first, but you're probably not going to do it. The Zerg, he did scout. They both have a main building first.
I really hope Zerg goes for a third hatch as quickly as possible, not a pool.
Yeah.
Because I feel like with
There's
drone scouting, already making a sacrifice, going for a pool after the first hatch feels like
I agree.
another sacrifice, even though you have the ability to play way greedier.
It would absolutely be the best to go third hatch before pool.
Yeah, and I would like to stay gasless at least till like 4 minutes minimum. I feel like some blink all-ins can be hard to stop with double gas later on. Like if you double gas at 6 minutes, it can be very difficult to stop the really quick blink all-ins. But the ones that Hero actually likes to do, the CJ Hero.
Yeah.
But I feel like if you're scared of that or you don't feel comfortable against that, getting like a 4 minute or a 4:30 gas is very good because you get the link speed and you can kind of crush it before it starts gaining momentum.
Yeah, I agree. It's the 2 gas kind of blink all in, right? 7
Yeah,
gate,
yeah,
2
yeah.
gas, no sentries.
Like super quick,
Yeah.
yeah.
Anything 425 gas or earlier can be quite annoying to the Protoss because you get speed links right before it starts to snowball.
Yeah, exactly. It's very good, and sometimes you can even kind of fake Protoss when they scout your main. You start the gas, but you don't let it finish. But that's like
That's not on this level.
Plus, it's not very it's not
Not reliable.
reliable exactly.
Now, we haven't technically seen from the Zerg POV whether there's a gate or forge follow-up, but the lack of cannon in this area probably means there's a gate behind this.
Yeah.
So we have to treat it roughly as a gate nexus build, but instead it's a nexus gate build. So there's still the potential for super early tech, super early DT, super early Stargate, super early, not super early, but mid-early gateway, but hitting hard.
Yeah. What I really like is his link movement. He scouted the whole left flank, like the little ice part at the left, and went to the watchtower. One of the links is going to the
Very
other
diligent.
watchtower. And he's moving one of the overlords, swinging it around the left side, ready for scouting as well. So he's doing a very good job at moving and positioning his essential scouting units, his lings and his overlords. And he got a free scout of the Forge, the Stargate, and of the main base.
Now, let's look at the supply from Protoss. He's at 40 out of 44. He's got 3 pylons and 2 Nexi, and that's it,
That's it.
right? So, let's see. Knowing that, okay, you can look at this Zerg. The Zerg has 40 supply.
Yes.
By experience, you can say Protoss will be roughly around the same. And of course, the game already proceeded a bit from when we just talked about it. You can know that if you get in the base at 6 minutes, those 3 pylons is all they have. They don't need more supply yet. He saw all 3 of them, which means there's no secret tech.
Yes. That's correct. I think we're already seeing a bit of the result of the opening by going pool after the first hatch. He is not even ahead in workers, even though you're past the 35 worker mark.
Yeah.
And it's a big part because of the third hatch. You have a lot less larvae if you stay on 2 bases long. The hatchery actually produces a surprisingly large amount of larvae. I think I'm not actually 100% sure on this because I kind of do these things on feeling or whatever. It sounds a bit weird, but if I'm correct, the hatchery cycle produces 3 larvae in the time that a queen produces 4. That's I think how it works. So even though getting queens is good, it's only 1 difference from getting an extra hatchery. That's why the 3 hatch opening is very effective, because you get eventually you get all the injects as well, and it kind of catches up with the regular inject timing. But your 3 larvae that keeps producing out of the 1 hatchery allows you to pump a lot of drones very quickly.
Now, when he walked by with the links, he could have clicked both, see the Forge Stargate, saw there was no hidden tech, so he could have known, okay, no quick robo, This is Phoenix and Macro, and what he has done, what he should be doing is skip Roach Warren.
Yes, and I
You
think
don't
he,
need roaches against this.
yeah, exactly. He
And he should
didn't
have
see.
pulled back all his overlords.
I think he's having a lot of trouble with the opening, and I think actually a big part of it leads this leads back to the opening, and also a bit to the units he has on the field now.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
I were him and I see a Phoenix opening, I would probably make a lot of queens just because I already am not I don't have that much larva.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, you don't need any units when you see Phoenix and no extra gates at that time.
Hmm.
So you actually should just only inject, double spore because he's still at risk.
Yeah.
So this spore is like a decorative spore, I call
Yeah.
it. That's
It,
like saying I
it-
want.
I want my queen alive in the mineral line, but you can have the rest.
Yeah. I was thinking of something else. I was like, I want a garden, and you put a plant of parcel in your garden.
Yeah,
I want a nice flower bed, and you
Yeah.
put parcel on the floor.
I keep it. I always call it the queen spore. The spore that keeps.
Queen spore, yeah.
Yeah, it keeps the queen alive, but the rest dies.
Yeah, that's true. Well, huge lead for Genix here. He was very ambitious with he's ahead in his workers, and now we've got Hydras coming out. But actually, there's already almost no chance for Thalandros to win. And you know, part of it is the mental acuity to immediately pull back all the overlords, but partly it's purely strategically, theoretically, very easy to fix. We're gonna go to him and we're gonna say,
Yeah.
let's play the same thing, and this time you're gonna hold down the D button,
Yeah.
and he's gonna be so much better.
He's gonna
Like,
hold the demon.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. No, I agree, and I think you should never. I don't think if you hatch pull hatch, you should always make the third hatch before you start your queens.
Yeah,
Just because it doesn't. Your third base never gets saturated in time if you hatch pull hatch, but then
Yeah.
with your queens between it delays everything so much, and I think he never caught up in economy with the Protoss player, which is a big deal.
Yeah.
This is
You know, sometimes you get people like this for coaching, and they say this is difficult, and it reminds me of this. I don't know if it's a Dutch joke, but it was told in Dutch, and it's like, doctor, when I press my side, it hurts. When I press my forehead, it hurts. Doctor, even when I press my feet, it hurts. And he says, let me see your finger. Oh, your finger's broken.
yeah, I know what you mean.
So
It's a very good analysis, actually.
The
Like,
broken thing here is the economy, and it makes everything else feel difficult. He's probably going to be like, Protoss can do anything.
yeah, in this situation, his army is his finger, and it's
Yeah.
always too small because of his economy.
And it's drones. Yeah.
And it's, yeah,
So it doesn't really matter whether he had the army composition that was correct or incorrect.
hmm
You know, nonetheless, there's still a chance for him to come back. Okay, but it would have to rely on enemy mistakes, and I would call already game-ending mistake by Thalandros. But the game goes on. Be happy with it. You don't give up until it's over.
yeah, and there's a lot of stuff that's still to be learned from games that continue, even though the opening was incorrect.
Yeah.
I think the mindset that some people have that they want to start over, even though they made a mistake, is very bad.
You know what that comes from? It's perfectionism. They
Yeah.
say, I do not want to take part in a game where I am not a perfect human being.
Yeah.
Like, I made a mistake, I shame my family, and I want to leave the game. And you should not be a perfectionist, because tell me, what are you perfect at, really?
Yeah.
Like, no one is. Except the guy that just came in. He's pretty... oh. But you know, not most people don't have that... don't have that luck, that luxury. So
Yeah.
always work from where you are now. Don't work from where you want to be or what you wanted to have done or what you from where you think you should be. Work from where you are now. What's the best thing to do now
Plus,
to win the game?
even for a tournament perspective, it's very bad for your mindset if you're always used to starting over if something goes wrong. You need to be able to pull yourself through those moments and recuperate from losses, especially for matches.
Genix with the timing here. We've got 2 Colossus, no range. A bit of an anti-timing. Charge and more Colossi are coming. Thermal Lance is not done. On the other hand, he's trying to hit before Hive produces Vipers. There are 2 Vipers. Maybe he will kill this and recall out. I would like to see him try it. But I do like this. He's checking to see if it's safe, wise, advisable to move forward. seeing the Viper, I would say do not engage.
Yeah, I would never engage Vipers before Templar. It's suicidal. Um,
Yeah.
this game, economically, Genix is in a great position. He kept Zerg from expanding too much and teching too much. Like
A recall would work just fine.
uh,
Oh, Rectorino, the Reckoning.
the Colossus is still alive somehow.
Oh, force fields.
How is that Colossus? Okay, there we
Yeah.
go.
Alright, so this is probably the best thing that could have happened for Talandros. The numbers game still not on his side. He has no upgrades. And he's fighting a pretty decently upgraded Stalker Ball. That's about the best that could have happened for him. GG. Genix takes
GG.
it with the most ugly end engagement. But let's say we take it as a compliment, eh? You built up enough buffer to
Yeah.
have a fight like that.
Okay, I think this game, I kind of lost track of things I wanted to say, mainly because I was kind of thinking of the early game, and it kind of slipped through a lot of the rest of the game, because a lot of the army sizes and decisions that can be made after that are reliant on you having a big enough army or economy to make those decisions. So for our Zerg player to already be in such a tough spot makes everything an incorrect decision almost.
Yep, true.
Which is, it's difficult to commentate on in a learning perspective for me, because I already feel like we should go back and fix it. You know, like it's very obvious.
Yeah.
But still, some things worth noting is for Protoss should have recalled, obviously,
Yeah.
and I think for Zerg, even on 3 base, he didn't have full saturation.
No, it's. I think Genix played very solid again.
Yeah.
Yeah, just solid build, scouting, damage, and macro up, and get. Just when you kill that fourth, you were very. Let's go to
Okay.
him.
Yeah.
Let's. Genix, well done. You have the mic. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you heard us. You killed the fourth. I really liked you kept sending hallucination scouts in front of you. Shine with the flashlight in the dark
Yeah.
tunnel.
Exactly.
You saw 2 Vipers. You killed the fourth. Very satisfactory situation. You already had charge. Templar Archives coming. Range was about to finish. Just recall, man. Don't take the risk. You're gonna walk.
Yeah.
You're leaving your flank exposed to him. He feels angry about what you just did to him. He's gonna bite. Yeah, it's not worth
Yeah.
losing all. But solid game. So we'll move right on to Talandros. Not much to
Okay.
comment.
Okay,
Sure.
Philandros, I really feel like when you drone scout and you see a Nexus first, you should go right ahead and throw down your third hatch. I don't think there's any reason to go for a pull after your first hatch, because the larvae you gain from going quick 3 hatch makes a big difference, and especially if you already sacrifice quite a significant amount of economy by drone scouting, because it doesn't seem like much one drone, but it actually costs a lot. It's like
Few
it-
hundred minerals.
it's a few hundred minerals, and those are not just a few hundred minerals. Those are a few hundred minerals you would normally spend on more economy. So you're missing some of your snowball early game in drones, and that's an okay decision to make. A lot of pro players are there's still a good amount of pro players that will drone scout in ZVP, but I think if you make that decision, you have to make up for it by being very greedy and putting down your third right after that. You can't play safe and then safe again. It's you scout here and then you cut a corner there. It always has to come with. If you make a sacrifice like that, you have to take an advantage somewhere else. So I think that was a big part, and I think the fact that you kind of missed your snowball drone train, as it were, like you never could quite get enough economy to build an army, because the whole game you were behind economically compared to him, because he cut more corners. He went Nexus first. I don't think he scouted. Did you scout? No, he didn't scout. He went Nexus first, and he just kept corner boosting probes.
So we got the sense that you play a smart game style. You got the correct unit counter with Vipers, and you had good circling movement, good Overlord movement, Overlord scout. You didn't need to send in your
Your
Overlord
links were all over the map.
because you
checking
got in
for
with the
everything.
links
Yeah.
at 6 minutes, which was very nice. Did you click the Stargate and the Forge?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, so you knew what you needed to know. And then one cool trick to know, when you get in with the links, look at your supply. It was around 38.
Mm-hmm.
He will have around the same. So he'll be 38 out of 44. you count 3 pylons. You walked past all 3, and there were no additional tech besides the Stargate. So you already know it's not the Stargate into Robo with War Prism Zealot drop, and you also didn't see extra gates added. So it's wonderful situation for you, where you know the Forge says a macro story, the Stargate Phoenix tells a macro story, but it can still be a mind game where it's a gateway all in or a War Prism all in. But it wasn't. You saw it all, which was fantastic. So at that moment, all you need to do, you don't need any units, you don't need a Roach Warren, you can make double Evo, you don't need to keep Overlord vision on the map, because you kind of already know everything. Pull back all your Overlords,
And just drone.
hold
like
down the D
mad.
button.
Hold the D, man.
Just hold the D. And we got the sense that like you're scouting well, and you seem like a smart player in that sense.
Yeah, your
But-
links were at the watchtowers. You were checking the sides. Your overlord was actually swooping in around his base, ready to go scout again.
But you're not using what you see yet, so there's a lot of untapped potential there, and we're excited to see if Genix can please play the exact same style. And then
And if you could six spool him.
that would be interesting actually. But yeah, double spore per base between the gas,
Yeah.
and I feel like we haven't let you talk a lot. Sorry about that, but let's play another. But I feel like you play against Protoss. Maybe you're the kind of player who feels like everything is difficult, but it's all to the numbers game because you're always behind in workers.
Yeah.
So double spore per base, 6
late.
gas, later lair. Just go lair like 8-9 minutes. Just go 75, 85 drones, and then then
Also-
do whatever.
Also, one thing to note: when you see the Stargate starts the first Phoenix, you have still like 30 seconds before you have to start your spores. My key is always when I kind of see the second Phoenix, I start making my spores, because that's kind of when the threat comes to your base. When there's 3 Phoenixes, they can really start lifting queens and stuff.
Take every little bit
Yeah,
of
and it makes a
efficiency.
lot of
Yeah.
difference because every spore is like around 3 drones. So if you can delay that, you want to. So when you see the second Phoenix, you're gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna add spores, and then then just add 2 each base. You can
Now this was
So
a lot.
6 spores in total, but
Yeah.
delay them a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah,
Right.
try not to
make
don't
them
rush it.
around the second Phoenix.
Yeah, and if you see an Oracle, you make 1 per base,
Yeah.
and then quick, of course, because Oracle arrives quick.
A lot to observe. Don't worry if you don't get it all. Don't even worry if you don't get anything. It will work later on in your mind too as
Yeah,
the
yeah.
weeks goes on. But let's see what you can do with it. Feel free to deviate too, but we can. Actually, let's just try this again. You play that. You try
Sure.
to take it, and if it doesn't, also okay. Just play relaxed and enjoy.
Okay,
Good luck, guys.
good luck.
Same map. King Sejong Station. Finish my coffee. Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. You're still here. Going into the second practice game between Genix and Talandros. Protoss vs Circle King Sejong. And we're going to see how much drones our Talandros can crank out in 9 minutes.
Yeah, how hard he can hold the D.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I see.
But
I
look,
guess I'm too innocent for this world.
man, I really feel like I feel so sad for Zerg players when I see that, because it can feel very restricting and very limited when you always die to stuff and you don't know
I feel
why.
so sad too.
Because it's like you miss a lot of the game and you miss a lot of the progress you could be making just because of a mistake you make earlier in the game, and it's very hard to notice those mistakes specifically. It always feels like you're building the wrong units or your timing is incorrect, but in the end, so much relates back to your early game build order and your early game timings, and a lot of the stuff we talked about today actually.
Yeah.
So it makes me sad and happy that we can fix it, because
Yeah.
it might help him actually like boost a lot in this matchup and get a
It's the same the other way around sometimes. Usually when Protoss came to me or when I came to someone,
Mhm.
the easiest way to fix it was just to make more workers.
Yeah.
Like when there was an issue, and it's like a world of difference.
Yeah, it's
I feel like Jasmine
Jasmine.
Jasmine on the magic carpet
Ah,
when that
a
happens.
whole new.
Yeah, exactly. It's wonderful.
Yeah, man.
Shining, shimmering, splendid on King Sejong
Okay.
Station.
Well, are we gonna follow the proto server game and try to
Let's watch both
let's
this
watch
time.
both? Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's better too, especially because I really want to see what Zerg does.
Yeah. All right.
In the top left corner. Genix.
From Team Mouse Control.
Yeah, that's mouse control. Hearthstone actually came from mouse control
Oh
a
yeah.
few years back, and Poyo played there for a while as well. Other than that, I don't think they had many big name players, but I think for a small organization with small budget, they've actually had like a decent history.
Nice.
I had the pleasure to meet their manager in Azerbaijan. He was actually my manager for Team Netherlands there,
Ah,
and he's actually a pretty chill dude.
cool.
So a lot of respect to that team. It's not as great as AT Gaming, but of course it's not bad.
So, this time we don't have a drone scout, which I guess is a deviation.
Yeah, I think.
But let's have a wink towards that.
Yeah, and plus, I mean, our Protoss friend didn't probe scout the game before either. So.
Yeah, yeah, no, I know, but I'm thinking like sometimes we
Oh,
need
there is
to
actually.
stand before we can jump.
In what sense?
The literal sense.
I think that is pretty obvious. But
He probably forgot and he's simulating it now. But the point is, we need to stand before we can jump. It's like, if he like we already said, we're gonna mimic the same situation, and
Yeah.
it's a practice game, right?
hmm
So if he wants to go double hatch without scouting, it's okay. If he wins that game, he knows he's only a drone scout off of having it part of his reaction.
okay, I understand what you mean. So if he doesn't matter how he ends up at the correct drone count early enough, it just matters that he knows what it feels like to be at that point and what
No,
it
I
just.
mean, if he can beat something with a map hack,
Yeah.
he is very little off from beating it for real.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. I guess I was
Okay.
using incorrect words.
And I use map hack without using it, of course. I mean, theoretically.
Yeah. If he could, yeah, okay,
I
whatever.
always use this example. Like, let's say I tell a student, I say, I'm gonna attack you at minute 10
Mhm.
with 12 stalkers.
If he knows it's coming and he can
What would
prepare.
you want to have?
if
And
he-
it's simple for them. Oh, I want to have 40 speed links. Okay. Now build your build to have 40 speed links at that time with
Mhm.
1-1 upgrades, whatever.
Yeah.
That's a bit harder.
Yeah.
But at least if you know where you want to get, and you know it's possible to get
Mhm.
there, then you can say, okay, I will scout at minute 8.
Yeah.
And then I still have time to make the links. So
Yeah.
he didn't scout early. Okay, finally he did scout. That's fine. But I like to see him reach some good benchmarks
Yeah.
with the drones now after he sees Phoenixes.
He's doing a 3-4 bull, which I enjoy. I think his build is great.
Yep.
I'm curious to see if he gets supply blocked and stuff, because I really want him to get to just 66 rounds like super quick.
Yeah.
Make
And
me
are you
happy.
aware when you can reach that?
No, not exactly. Around 8 minutes, I believe. I think you saturate 3 bases with 4 gas at around 8, and you saturate all 6 at a little bit later.
I think so too.
I'm not entirely sure. I actually should look more into my timings. I'm too lazy in that sense. I like. I am very. As a child, I was always very. Like I like to do things. I didn't like to look up stuff.
I mean, you
And-
have different characters of people. I'm like a manual reader,
Yeah.
and my no pun intended. And my brother is my brother is also a manual reader, but he's the kind of guy that knows the entire game before it comes out.
Yeah.
So when he plays it, he already knows everything, knows what he
Yeah.
wants to do.
No, I'm way different, man.
Other
Like,
people don't like to read a letter;
Yeah.
they like to find out.
Yeah, I didn't know what came out of each building until I was like high master. I actually had when I was like high master, I had to look up what came out of a factory because I had no clue. I just played,
Nice.
and it's like a fun story. But actually, I think I do myself. I'm not doing myself a favor by playing the way or developing that way. I think it would profit me a lot if I would look up more stuff and spend more time trying to find out exact timings and stuff. And I try now. I try to force myself.
Yeah. So he has seen pylon 1, 2, 3. He's seen forge, Stargate, second gateway, and extra gases.
Key notable difference. The drone count is already 3 or 4 ahead right now, and this is normal. This is around the time you should normally jump ahead of Protoss.
Yeah.
So it's already looking more normal.
Now we look at the Larva's 14. He's got a lot of minerals. He's making the spores, and he needs to hit that D button. Hit it and hit it hard.
Yeah.
Nice. Sick.
Okay, so he's adding 14 more drones. So he cut a bit back because he made 6 spores. He is misplacing them pretty badly.
Yeah, and slightly too early as well.
Yeah.
But we're getting closer. We have a worker lead.
Yeah, we have a worker lead, which he hadn't had the entire game last game.
Yeah.
He
So-
didn't get ahead in workers at once.
So
What's
now
also really bad is that he's rallying, because this is economy, right? He keeps rallying his third base and main base. He keeps rallying all his larva drones to the base he wants larva to be spent at, which means all of his drones are always traveling a long distance before they
Ah.
start mining from each
so
base.
you think like this hatch rally here, this hatch
Yeah,
rally here.
you try to, like, it's impossible to always have every base rally to the mineral patches closest to it, but you try to do it as optimal as possible.
Okay, fair enough. Reduced travel time makes sense. The same thing with Protoss. If your Nexus on natural is about to finish and you've spent the chrono boost 1 second before the natural finishes on your main, while rallying it to your natural,
That's a mistake.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's 1.5 probes, like traveling further. So little things like that will make a difference. Now we look at the worker count. We've got a lot healthier worker count for the Zerg.
Yeah, it looks
very
a lot
nice.
more, what
Pulling the
you're
drones back.
expecting.
Here we see the slight spore mispositioning. It should be here, right?
Yes, exactly. It should be at in the mineral line, but at the edges of the mineral
Okay.
line.
But we look at the units lost. It is significant, but it's not too bad. And he's got 9 more workers coming in, so we're getting higher. It could still have been a lot higher already.
Yes, he could.
Slower spores would have helped. Fewer
Yeah.
overlord losses.
And proper drone rallying would have made a big difference
Proper
for
drone
him.
rallying,
Because
yeah.
if when you're going to 66 drones, if all your drones are always traveling a long time before they start mining, that starts to accumulate quite large.
Yeah, true.
But it's already looking so much healthier. He's like 10, 15 drones ahead, and he's getting his Hydrodon out. Like, everything is looking so much more like how it's supposed to look.
Yeah, that's true. Hold position queen, very important.
Yeah.
Now look at the money he has. A few more overlords, and he can make a huge swell of units potentially.
He only has 7 larvae, so that's problematic. And this probably has to do with the fact that he's not used to having this much money to spend.
Yeah. So he's been playing under his potential, and therefore hasn't trained, properly to spend it, to inject. It's uncovering other weaknesses.
Yeah.
It hasn't made him worse at anything,
But
but
it's,
it's become more
Yeah.
obvious.
And it's a positive thing.
That's a very
Because
good
you
thing.
learn what you can improve more as well, yeah.
I had that just this year, where when Stardust started spending a lot of time in Europe, and he showed a lot of us how to play PvZ, and he said you can play a lot more economical than you've been doing thus far. So I start adding more probes, and I end up with 1,000+ minerals at situations. And then I see him like add 6 gateways. He goes to 13 gateways at minute 11.
Mhm.
I'm like, really? He can do that? And then he just shat on someone that I just had difficulty playing against.
Yeah.
Just making only zealots and stalkers.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting how that turns, like how it turns your own gameplay around.
Yeah.
And it's very cool to see how, like, StarCraft 2 is like such an economic game. I feel like more than other RTSs, I feel like economy is very important in StarCraft 2 and easily overlooked. I feel like I'm not a big RTS expert, but I like to watch back all of the other RTSs because everyone always talks about it and stuff, and I try to kind of understand where other people come from just because it's I think interesting. And even when I watch Brood War, I don't feel like there's as much emphasis on how you divide your economy in Brood War as there is in StarCraft.
I think there is.
There is?
Yeah.
It's the same?
Yeah, well, you have lots of bases, and
Yeah. But I feel like it's easier in a way. Like,
it's a lot harder because you had to click each worker on the minerals.
yeah, no, like mechanically more difficult, but the concepts of when to make drones or not to make drones.
I haven't played at high enough level.
Yeah, okay, me
On
neither,
Brood
so I
War
can't
to
judge
know.
that, but that's the feeling I got. But maybe I'm very incorrect on this. This is true.
I assume it's as difficult, roughly,
Yeah,
or more.
maybe you're right. It felt more cookie cutter to me, but maybe that's just because all the pro players are so extremely developed in that game that
Yeah.
everything is a lot more thought out than it is in StarCraft.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I got that vibe. And I'm not sure how it was in Warcraft either, but it felt
In
like
Warcraft 3, proper economy was like, I lost one peon. I'm gonna get not enough lumber 15 minutes from now.
yeah,
So I'll make one more in 5 minutes.
yeah. So
It was not. There was no emphasis on it. It was better to micro better than
Yeah.
to even look away 1 second to fix something like that.
yeah, in
So it's
StarCraft,
very battle oriented.
it's in StarCraft, economy means a lot. In TVZ, I think we've already spoke about this a little bit, but in TVZ, there's been a little bit of a swing back and forth between what race is powerful at the moment, or like it's hard to say imbalance or advantage, but there's been a bit of a swing in win rates in TVZ recently, where first after the Widowmine rechange, I guess you could call it, Terran started winning a lot against Zerg, and Zerg had a lot of difficulty, and suddenly right now people are winning again against Terran, and it's not like people learn to control. It's not like Zergs were positioning that much better or using their army more efficient.
It was economy
It was
based.
purely economy and how the fourth base functioned in TVZ. It was purely how quickly you saturate it, at what timings you make the drones, and that you do not take your gases anymore at your fourth.
Yeah, we had
So,
a similar one like that. No gases at third against Terran with Protoss.
Yeah,
Same
so
thing.
so even top level, a lot of the changes come through economy. But okay, back to the game.
We see Talandros, even though he's probably losing, he's given himself more of a fighting chance. He's roughly maxed out. He's got a lot of army, and he's got his Vipers out. He can start pulling Colossi or Stalkers, and you know he's gonna lose on other things probably because Genix is a little bit more experienced player, but he has given himself the tools that he needs to start working on different areas because he has more resources.
This fight already looks so much better than the fight the last game, and it still doesn't look very good for Zerg just because Roach Rider Viper, once it hits max and Protoss also hits max, it becomes very difficult. It still seemed better.
A lot better. And very good improvements from a game 1 to game 2 situation already.
Yeah, already huge differences.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
yeah, good improvements. We see new areas to work on. We can talk a little bit more later. Thanks, Genix, once again for the repetition of the same thing. And I think Talandros had a very good improvement. Gave yourself a fighting chance. A lot better. Still a few little things, but you noticed maybe Talandros, you had a lot more money. It's difficult to spend, but your work account was like 10, 15 ahead of his. So it was good to see, and you were actually near max out when he's max out. Much better fighting chance and then some micro things, but looked very good.
Yeah.
Thanks for playing.
I think if he would have teched quicker and be more sharp on his timings, it would have been a very good game for him.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Now let's see if there were some Twitter questions. We didn't ask for it in this segment yet, but if there are any, we can deal with them now. If not, we can go to break already.
Tweet the question, please.
It's okay if there aren't any yet. That means we're doing a good job. We answered every question in the StarCraft universe.
Or there's no one watching.
Thanks, Mom, for the question. Economy-wise, what are the benchmarks that we should be aiming for, such as 6 minutes, 44 supply, 8 minutes, etc., etc.? What's solid? The best way to find out benchmarks is to look at VOD with a pen and paper and to pause, and count. Replays are the best for this, of course. But just to give you an example, against Zerg with Protoss at minute 6, you can have 35 workers at max and 27 at fewest. And that's the aggression scale. So 35 most economical, 27 most safe, early safe / aggressive. I say early safe because obviously going 27, then going late game, not safe at all, very uneconomical. So that's the scale. Every race has a scale of a certain time for certain standard builds. And once you understand the scale and you understand what that means about what you're trying to achieve, let's say you go home now, or you're home, you go look at your replay, hey, I always have 25 workers against Zerg at minute 6. That means you are an aggressive Don Juan. You are crazy, rabies. If you are playing long games, that means your purposes are not aligned together. And I think it's the same for other races.
Yeah, it's definitely the same. I think every race has their own kind of ways of dealing with economy and benchmarks. Like Terran almost always is producing SUVs. There's, I think, least worker stops in Terran's mechanics, especially because they don't use chrono boost and they don't have the larva mechanics. So they have a little way to stop and then produce more after. So for Terran, maybe your worker stops don't happen as much, and it's mainly just about keep producing and make sure your command centers are on time. But for Zerg, it's very important to know when you should and should not drone, and how your bases and larva lead into more drones, I guess.
Yeah.
So, benchmarking VODs is most
Extract the
important.
info from VODs, benchmark it, then try your own benchmarks against the AI, then try against real player, and then you'll see the stress difference.
Yes. Next.
Next question, if there is any. Question by Bazooka821_RBLX. When is it okay or not okay to fully saturate a fourth base against Terran as Zerg? When do you take your gases?
Okay, so the way I understand TVZ right now, my understanding is not as full and all round as maybe the best Zerg in the world. So I can't fully disclose what's perfectly true, but from my experience and from how I understand it from watching VODs and watching games, you slowly saturate your fourth base. You don't make 16 drones at once. You kind of let them trickle in your larva injects while Terran puts on their first few rounds of pressure. And you slowly saturate the minerals. And then you kind of stay on just minerals from your fourth base and stay on 6 gas, making just mutaling baling and a lot of lings with a macro hatch. And eventually you kind of want to get those 5th and 6th gases when you get your 3-3 and your
7th,
ultras. Or your 7th and 8th gas when you get your 3-3, the ultras, maybe Broodlords, even though it's not very
when
common.
can you go high?
Only if you're ahead, really. The way I feel about TVZ is you can go high when you're winning. So if you're crushing pushes, doing harass, killing economy, you can find breathing room to invest in an extra gas and getting your hive and buying time for it. But if you're on even footing the whole game, it's very difficult to find the gas to go hive because it'll cut too much into your Ling Baneling army, where suddenly Terran overwhelms massively. Because there's a huge difference. You have slightly too little Banelings, and suddenly Terran has a lot of army left. So it's there's no cookie cutter way of going hive. It's only when you're playing well and getting ahead you can start using your hive.
So when you feel like you're treading water, stay lair.
Yeah.
When you feel like you're brisk
room.
crawl swimming,
Yeah.
you go hive.
Pretty much, and then you can add a 7th and 8th gas if you like. But I would advise not get your gas at your 4th too early.
Thanks for the question.
Good question.
Any others? Any other questions?
Well,
El Polo Bosso, the chicken boss, asks, when you're on the same amount of bases as Zerg, is it worth it to go for an all-in when you know their army is hindered at the moment, or should you take that advantage to expo again to have a better chance of winning later, even though you may be able to recover? You forgot to mention what race you're playing against.
wait, is he playing against Zerg or as
As
Zerg?
Zerg.
He's playing as Zerg, and
You're
he
on
wants
the
to go
same
all in?
amount of bases as Zerg.
As Zerg, so he's playing something else than Zerg.
It could be against the Zerg.
Zerg versus Zerg.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
but
could
that
be
seems unlikely.
ZVZ, ZVT, ZVP. Should you go all in when you're on the same amount of bases
I think generally the answer is no.
and their army is hindered?
I think generally when you're on... Like, this is very hard because the scenario is quite vague. But correct me if I'm wrong. If you're Protoss and you see Zerg on equal basis, you don't feel inclined to attack. You feel inclined to defend because Zerg has to make something happen. Because eventually your army will get stronger than Zerg's army.
But Zerg generally wants to get one base ahead.
Yeah, exactly. So when they're not one base ahead and their army is hindered, that just means you're very safe and you have a lot of freedom.
Okay.
At least that's how I feel.
Alright.
Unless you're playing Swarmos, then maybe. If you're playing
Swarmos only needs one base.
yeah, Swarmos only needs like
Because you're not
3
losing any
mineral
real
patches,
units.
1 Geyser, a Queen, 1 Viper,
2 drones.
3 Corruptors.
You'll
just a lot
eventually
of
mine it all.
Swarmos.
Was that it in questions? One more?
Production is
Walsbergs asks, what amount of SCVs would be the max for Terran, and when should I go for orbital?
what matchup?
Uh, I
Doesn't
feel
matter?
like you should go for orbital in the following situations. 15 supply, your first one. Um,
No.
your second base should be an orbital. Your third should probably be an orbital. The fourth should be a planetary. Once you've stabilized on 4 bases and you start getting bank that you can't seem to spend, you should add a roughly like 20 to 50% of your money into orbitals converted. Like let's say you have 2k bank, make 4 CCs and then morph them to orbitals. Great utility. You can be like a locust swarm marauding farmers' crops. You land an orbital on a base and you boom 12 mules. You mine out very quickly and it's a very low risk method of mining out bases.
Yeah, plus you can have a lot less SCVs doing
Right.
this method.
So you start sacking SCVs. As for what's the amount of XCVs is max, the absolute max is probably 74, but you would probably be better off not going much not going much above 70 because you have mules. You want to get a nice big army. And there
Yeah.
are builds where the number varies roughly, but if you customarily find yourself in 78, you're either planning for one big SCV pool or you're a little bit on the high side.
Yeah, in ZVT you sometimes see crazy people make 80 SCVs when they're constantly pushing, but it rarely
Really?
happens. It's mostly 70 around, and even less in certain situations because Terran doesn't need necessarily that much SCVs to have a good economy.
Yeah.
So it varies, but I think you're right. 70 should be around the max.
Coolio, thanks for the questions, guys. We'll head for a short break, and then we'll be with the final and 5th segment of the day, which is going to be about positioning. But first, we'll head over to our tournament director, Frank van Kaspel, in whose humble establishment we are presiding here. Very cozy here. Thanks for having us here. We'll head over there now. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you again soon. Here's Frank.